Hello. I recently mentioned that I tried to record a video of some grappas by Jacopo Poli, and it didn't work out because the audio didn't record. But I still want to get some grappas on the board. Just do pomace brandies in general. I love them. And I'm particularly excited about trying this stuff and reviewing it for you. Come on, focus. This is from Romano Levi, and it is a grappa from 1991. Now, this is from the Serafino Levi Distillery, which is now kind of basically defunct. And it's not, but it's at the same time become a little bit of a legend. This brother and sister were there for decades, making really cool, just super nerdy artisanal grappa, which now goes for crazy amounts of money with the collectors. Gorgeous hand-drawn labels. It's made in the Piedmont, obviously. It's actually right around the town of Barbaresco. And so I'm super excited to get a chance to try this. This is very hard to get a hold of. The really cool thing about these people for me is they direct fire their stills, or they did. And if it was any other category, if this was whiskey or something, you would say, okay, that sounds cool. That's great. This is grappa. Let me explain to you how much of a gigantic pain in the ass it is to make grappa. Grappa, by Italian law, cannot be fermented in water. You cannot just throw your grape pomace that you're fermenting into a bunch of water and mix it around like you could with Mar, or making whiskey, making like whiskey mash or wash or whatever. That's not legally allowed. You have to solid state ferment your pomace before you distill it. So it goes into your still. And the way it would the two usual ways you would distill it would be either steam distillation. You either blast it with steam and then separate the vapors, which is the sort of what you get in most sort of big industrial grappas, or you use a bain marie, a kind of double boiler system where you have a bath of hot water in which you sit another container which has your base material, and then you heat the hot water, right? That's how you would normally do that. They are direct firing their stills, which can easily lead to your pomace just burning. Worst case, it leads to it catching on fire and your still explodes. So the fact that they were able to do this for decades just suggests a level of skill and dedication to the craft that I cannot even conceive. So I have enormous respect for this product just even existing. But it needs a sparring partner, right? It needs a sparring partner, and I'm going to go with this, a Marolo. Dedicata al Padre. Now, I have reviewed Marolo products in the past, and I've really, really, really enjoyed them in general. But the last unaged Marolo Grappa I tried was this stuff. Come on, focus. The Marolo Moscato Grappa. And the thing about this is it's bottled at 42%, which sucks, and it is bottled, and they add sugar to it, which also sucks. Trust me, I boiled this stuff down, and I got sugary residue, so there's sugar in this. And I understand there is like a market for sugary grappa, right? That's bottled at easy drinking strength. So I get it, I do. But I would say two things. First of all, if you're going to add, sugar to your grappa, or any spirit which is going into a generally dry spirit section and not the liqueurs, just note on the label somewhere that there's a little sugar added and how much. No problem. Be transparent. No harm nor foul. And nerds like I will see that and say, thank you for that information. I will happily move on to your next product, further down the shelf without that, which is a little bit closer to what's coming off the still. The second thing is just to have something closer to have that product, right? To have the product without the sugar, without the other additives, without excessive filtration, with an acceptable proof point. And that's what this is. This is well, it's the 2017 vintage. I don't know if you can read that. And it's made apparently from a mixture of various red grape varietals. So I would think standard Piedmont stuff, Nebbiolo, Dolcetto, Barbera, maybe some nerdier ones in there. But the important thing about this is no sugar, and it's bottled at 60%, which is pretty darn good. From the Distilleria Santa Teresa, as everything else from these folks. Double boiler distilled, as with everything from these folks. Cool, very cool. I mean, Marolo's they're still family owned, but they're also one of the, if not the kind of biggest among the craft distilleries. So this is probably going to be the easiest one of that lot to get. Well, this and kind of the rest of their range. So if this is good, like this is worth grabbing. But I'm really interested in trying the Levy. All right, I'm gonna have some water because I'm talking a lot. Okay, let's go. I'm going to do the Levy first because it's bottled lower proof. This is only 51%. Let's stick our nose into this. Ooh. That is dense. And very interesting and kind of fun. Okay, tea leaves, tobacco leaves. Those are kind of standards for pomace brandy. I expect to get that. What I was not expecting to get is sun-dried tomatoes. It's really obvious too. It's all over the place. There's some berries happening, like what is that? Like red grapes, really. Fresh flowers, but also dried flowers. Actually, you know what it is? It isn't like red grapes. It's more like grape fago, which is the best of the grape sodas, by the way. Sharpie marker. A little cinnamon, like toasted marshmallow. Yeah, there is like a toasty element in this, so maybe that's the direct firing. Peach, nectarine, stone fruit coming through after a moment. It's interesting. I'm wondering if there's not just red varietals going into this. I'm wondering if there's maybe some white grapes happening here, or Nace, even some Moscato or something. See what happens on the palate. Oh. So especially on the back end, way more aggressive on the palate than expected. This arrived and I was kind of like appreciating it, and it just like body slammed me, man. Wow, there's like this bitter, astringent snap on the back end. I don't hate it. I'm just kind of confused. Let me try this again. Oh, yeah. But the arrival is so beautiful. Arrives on peach, tea leaves, tomato, again, lychee fruit. The Sharpie thing again. But then it just like explodes into grape stems, herbs, lots of thyme on this. And kind of like a almost like a smoked, no, it's like smoked thyme. So you kind of let your thyme on fire a little bit. There's potpourri. There's lots of floral stuff. It's uncomfortably floral a little bit. Astringently floral, but not too much. It's bordering on unbalanced, but it doesn't quite get there. Ooh. Okay. That's very interesting. I don't know quite what to think of that yet. I'm going to add some water and we'll come back to it. It's certainly not like this is rustic. This is rustic stuff, but it's got tons of character. I can see why this is a kind of a cult classic. All right, so I'm very curious about this Marolo because again, I love the brand, and this is 60%, and it's not that expensive. So if you want to throw this into cocktails and things, you can do that without feeling too bad about it. All right, on the nose. I was saying how rare it is to get tomato on on grappa, but here we go. Tomato puree. I mean, this is a big boy. It smells big. Really, it's like tomato puree alongside like ice cream cake, like ice cream birthday cake, sheet cake. There's a little bit of like a Claren vibe here, but you would never mistake this for Claren. It's a different sort of thing. Or even like some of the Mexican cane juice rums, you know what I'm talking about? That really throw like cake and tomato at you. Yeah, the thing that sets this apart from those is the burned stems, the green notes, herbal teas, tobacco, Perique tobacco in particular, which makes me very happy. Perique is my favorite tobacco of all time. The peach is back in the house. Peach again. There's some oregano. Something, I want to say juniper, but it's not. It's almost like, I'm going to say Douglas fir. It's actually more Douglas fir-like. Fennel, thyme as well on this, but it's like fresh thyme. It's not burned thyme. Lots of flowers, but not as much as the Levy. I mean, these are actually very good sparring partners. You can see the similarities, but also like just the differences in approach. It's not as, it feels bigger and rounder, but not as dense as the Levy, if that makes sense. And certainly not as floral. Yeah, it's an awesome nose. It really is. On the palate, very, very rich. But at the same time, by Palmas brandy standards, especially at 60%, this is very easygoing at the same time. It's got this really nice silky mouthfeel for the arrival and kind of the going into the mid palate. And then it has this big explosion of flowers as well. But it's not like kind of bitter, astringent flowers. It's not potpourri. It's or even like soapiness. It's just like fresh, like you ate a flower shop. It's that kind of thing. Ice cream birthday cake again. What kind of ice cream? That's tough. One layer is vanilla. The other is like mint chocolate chip. Herbs again. The oregano, rosemary, thyme, fennel. Quite a lot of fennel on this. My Perique tobacco is back, so I'm happy. Herbal teas again. Very, very, very stemmy and green, but like it's keeping it in check, you know? Like it's not letting those green notes get out of control. Very, very peppery. It's not black pepper, it's more like pink pepper. The pink peppercorns are in the house. There is some juniper notes here. There's like actually there's a little bit of a gin character happening. But yeah, in general, it's the big explosion of flowers. The flowers really rule this, but they don't throw it off balance. Does that kind of make sense? I'm really interested to see what these two do with water. All right, I'm going to give this a couple of squirts. We'll come back to them. 60%. It's going to need at least 4 squirts. Maybe 5. Let's see what we got. Ooh. Let's do like 4.5. I love pomace. I love these things. They bring such an enormous amount of character to them. I'm just gonna say, like, and I hope the producers are listening too. If those of you out there who really love, pungent mezcals, that kind of, or just agave spirits in general, especially leaning on the more herbaceous end of things. Along with more floral end of things. Or people who like nerdy rum, Clarin, that kind of thing. People who really like their artisanal gins. All y'all, give Grappa a chance. I know it has a bad reputation, and there are reasons for that. But I am telling you, give Grappa and the sort of wider category of pomace brandy, give it a little bit of your time, and I think you'll be surprised by what you find. All right, back to the Levy. What I'm hoping the water has done is kind of integrated this a little bit more, because it felt like it was a spirit that came in like multiple pieces, and I want things more in balance. Let's see what happens. It is a fun nose, though, and not a whole lot of development on this. With water. There's a little like that grape fago note has kind of become almost a white currant note. But otherwise, not a ton of development. Still very dense. I like this nose a lot. It smells very like rustic and characterful. In my brain, I'm not sure I like it more than the Barolo. The Marolo, and that's my problem. See what I'm talking about? On the palate, so with water, gets much more peppery, especially on like the front end. Like the tip of my tongue is covered in like peppercorns and a little bit of like spicy Szechuan sauce right now. You know what I'm talking about? This is the spicy oil. But still has that very kind of astringent, perfumey finish to it. I wonder if there's some Moscato going into this. I don't know. Can I hold off on scoring this? Because I want to come back to it. And I will tell you why. There's tons of character in this bottle. There really, really is. And I want to like it more than I like the Marolo. But I'm not sure that I do. And I want to figure out, like, there's just some rough spots in here. There really are. And I'm gonna grade the Marolo first before I come back and see where I'm gonna put the Levy. Put it that way. So moving on to the Marolo now with the touch of water. gets more, I don't know, like buttery on the nose. Not that there's butter, it just feels, how do I, like more silky, you know? You know, like when you have a recipe that's just using more buttercream and it doesn't show up, it just smells richer. You know, I don't know what I'm talking about. Most of everything before, but richer. And I'm gonna add a shot of Gewürztraminer to this. There's more of that kind of spicy lychee fruit thing happening. So take a shot of your favorite Alsatian Gewürztraminer, throw it in here. Terrific, great nose. Absolutely up there with, you know, pick your favorite sub $100, you know, agave spirits and stuff. This can box with them, you know, or rum, or like gins for that matter. Rums might make more of a problem, but this is good on the nose. On the palate, the peppercorn's actually toned down a little bit, and it gets a little bit more minerally. There's some like sandstone happening now. It also gets a little bit more floral, but it's you know, not like the Levy. This is much more in balance with itself. Yeah, the finish is where this kind of rules. It's an intense, lingering finish on the pepper and the minerality and the floral stuff, the stems, the herbs, that kind of perique note married with some peachiness. So this is exceptional. This is really, really good. I'm going to give this 87 points easily. A little more detail in this, and I could easily see it going higher, but I'm gonna stick to 87, and that's pretty darn good. I'm gonna go back to the Levy for a second. It's not gonna get as high as the Marolo. I just don't know. This has a good nose too, and the tomatoes have kind of maintained themselves better with water. On the palate, yeah, man. I gotta be honest. It's on the palate where this is kind of crashing for me. It's just kind of too balanced and astringent for me. Like I can tell it's well made, but if I owned a bottle of this, I'm not sure I'd be reaching for it real often. At the heights of this, we're reaching like 86 territory, but we're also kind of going back down to the 70s when that finish hits. This is a hard one to score. I'm just going to score it somewhere in the middle. I'm going to call this an 83. Certainly good. Certainly feels special. Like this feels special. Something about what is in this glass feels very special. And it's not just the fact that it's made in this, you know, tiny, you know, family distillery that direct fires its grappa stills. And yet, I'd go with the Marolo. I really would. Price no object, I would go with this. So yeah, 83 points for the Levy, 91. And the Marolo Padre gets an 87. Thanks for watching and cheers.